Brachim Habayim, welcome. My name is Wayne Firestone. I'm the host today for this special episode of our webinar series from the American Israel Friendship League. You know, we've been doing this program now for some time, talking about remarkable aspects of Israeli society. For the past week and a few days, we've now run our third episode during the war, and we will continue to do so on a bi-weekly basis. This is the first time we've run a webinar on a Thursday. Normally, and going forward, will be on Wednesdays and Sundays. But we are trying to be as flexible and as responsive to the situation, and thinking about our audience of people who are connected to friends and loved ones in Israel, many who are experiencing trauma in a form that perhaps we couldn't even have imagined even just a couple of weeks ago. I want to give everyone the opportunity in the chat to share any feelings or prayers or wishes that they have. In particular today, I do want to share that this remarkable episode will be sharing stories of heroism. We have focused on the initial two programs on the military and diplomatic aspects of the war thus far. Today, we're going to go a little bit deeper with someone who not only was on the front line, but sort of volunteers himself for an act of duty that didn't require any kind of call up. We'll talk about that in a moment. I would like also to give an opportunity for our audience to begin what will be a difficult conversation, and to understand that part of showing love, expression, and support during a time of war means that we are come together in the ways that we can to understand this tragedy in all of its dimensions. And so if there has been an act of heroism or courage that you've become aware of over the course of this week, if you'd like to share that in the chat as well, our team in Israel that is monitoring and putting together these programs certainly will take due note of that. We invite you to do so. We're going to begin this program now with a friend and family member of the America-Israel Friendship League, Dr. Yossi Vardi, who has a distinguished career in both the private sector and in the public sector in Israel in many different roles that he's played. We've been able to feature him in having fireside chats with some of his colleagues from over the years that continue to do remarkable things. Of all the many awards that Yossi's received, I think the one that strikes me as perhaps the most fitting relates to his commitment to both coexistence and unity. Yossi, at this moment, how do you bring together those two very different sort of hats that you wear in a way that allows the Jewish people, the state of Israel, friends and lovers of Israel to come together in unity and still have some glimmer of hope of coexistence that can result from this horror?
Wayne, I must tell you, all of us in Israel are now kind of recalculating their lives. You know, many of the things we believe that were shattered, some of them we want to hang to them very strongly, and I'm still doing the reflection on my life and on the country life. All of us are confused, you know, so I don't want to begin to go into details because we have two great stories, which I think much more important, that I don't want to miss. So you will excuse me by not dwelling into it, because I will begin to go into it. It will take 20 minutes.
Okay, well, you're wise to both caution us that we want to give due time today, both to these two different segments, and a good friend of yours who's agreed, even under the most difficult of circumstances, to join us here live and share this story. So, Yossi, I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce Major General Noam Tibon. And some of you are already familiar with his face and his story from the press, the international press, and accounts of his acts of heroism. But really hearing from him directly is for us a great honor and privilege today. We'll look forward to this conversation.
Before I introduce Noam, I just want to say two things. Number one, it was Martin Luther King who said that only at the dark you can see the stars. And we are in the dark, and the great star visited us yesterday, and this is the President of the United States, that all of us are grateful to him. Above, not going into domestic politics of the US, it's not interesting. He provided all of us with hope, with support, and most important, with comfort and empathy. He is not only a great human being, he is what we call a mensch, which I think summing it up. And all of us Israelis, from the first one to the last one, are very grateful for the many dimensions that he exhibited yesterday, and I feel we must say it. Second, the session of today will be dedicated to try to explain to you not only what the kibbutzim trust, the kibbutzim, and also the same is true for three towns in the area, which are Sderot, Ofakim, and Netivot, but to show you the important, critical, heroic leadership role the kibbutzim exhibited in the last 75 years. These are the people who really protected the country with their bodies, and to embed in you the understanding why we must build this area where 15,000 of its people left it in one day, 13,000 to hotels all over the country, 1,300 or maybe there was some sort of maybe 1,000 into graves, and 200 to Gaza left the country, and why we shouldn't give up and we should work. So the last thing I want to say, contrary to usual, I like to put at least stoic, if not cynical, faces. I am not sure how I will pass this session, so I apologize in advance. Noam Tibon is a man who devoted all his life to protect the state of Israel. He made a career in the Israel Defense Forces from private soldier to a general. He was in charge of the best forces in the army, the parachutes, and many other. He was in charge of the population in the West Bank and took care of them. He had a wonderful, wonderful career. Then he retired, I think, maybe 20 years ago. Please tell it to us. And on the 7th of October, he found himself in something which I think in his worst dreams, he didn't think about it. But in addition, he was born in a kibbutz. He's a kibbutznik. He's a classical kibbutznik. And instead of continuing talking, I will pass the microphone to Noam. So Noam, tell us, who are you? What are the kibbutzim? What happened to you on the 7th of October, and what you are aspiring to do now with 25 amazing other retired leaders from the IDF, the best and the brightest. Noam, the floor is yours.
Okay, good evening. Hi to you. It's evening here in Israel, and I'm glad to talk with you, to share with you my story and few comments about the situation in Israel. My name is Noam Tibon. I was born and raised in Kibbutz Nahal Oz. Kibbutz Nahal Oz was built by my parents, Yoav and Eliza Tibon. Both of them grew up in Jerusalem under the British mandate. They fought in the 48 war, and then they built their kibbutz in order to guard the road to Jerusalem. Most of the kibbutzim was built along the borders of Israel. And basically, if you look today at the map of Israel, you can see that from the north, Manara and Rosh Hanikra, all the way to the south, the border was built by the kibbutzim. I believe that, I grew up in a kibbutz. I got kibbutznik education. I'm a Zionist. And basically, I believe that those people who live in the kibbutzim today are pioneers, and I highly, highly respect it. Actually, after one of the operations in Gaza, when young people left the kibbutzim, my son, Amir, decided to go with his then girlfriend, today his wife, to live in Nahal Oz, which is a symbol of kibbutz on the border of Gaza, few meters from the border. And we highly respected. They were married there, and they grew up there. There are two, my granddaughters, Gali, which is 3.5 years old, and Carmel, which is 1.5 years old. And I believe that attack on the kibbutzim is not only an attack on population. This is also attack on the idea of Zionism, of working the land, protecting the borders. And basically what Hamas tried to do is to tell us, we will attack your land. And this is something which is tough, but we are going to win this war. I will jump into my personal story and then a few words about the situation in Israel. But I know that all of you in the US are very worried about Israel. I can guarantee you, we have a strong military force, and we are going to win this war. It's not going to be an easy battle, but we're definitely going to win it. On Saturday, basically, I live in Tel Aviv. So I did what Tel Aviv is, doing. My wife and I, Gali, woke up early in the morning and we went to swim in the sea. We have beautiful beaches in Tel Aviv. We saw jets in the sky, and I told Gali, it's strange. But, we went and swim. In the middle of the swimming, we heard sirens. So we went to our car. I opened my cellular phone, and basically I had a text message from my son Amir, who lives in Nahal Oz, basically said, Dad, there are terrorists in the kibbutz around my house. This is not good news. And basically, since then, my wife and I were in a mission. We rushed to our home. We changed very fast. I took my pistol. And basically, we were driving south in our Jeep. Gali was driving, and I was working with the phone. I chat to all the commanders of the IDF, Chief of Staff, Herzi Halevi, the Southern Command Commander, and the Division Commander. All of them were under my command. I know them personally. Basically, I told them there are terrorists around my son's house in Nahal Oz. Meanwhile, I was chatting with Amir, and basically I told him two things. Amir, get into the security room, lock the door, stay there and be quiet and don't get outside of the room. Then I got another text message which basically said, Dad, I think there is a terrorist on the inside the house. And I continue to say the same, instructions. And we were rushing from Ashkelon. We were the only car on the road. And basically, when we enter Shderot area, suddenly we found ourselves in a different world. In the middle of the main road, there was a battle between Israeli policemen and terrorists in a very short distance. The policeman, he waved me with the hand, go away, it's very dangerous here. We did a U-turn, we understood that this road is blocked. And basically, while we are doing this U-turn, I saw two people running, scared to death from the bushes. I entered them to the car. There were two people from one of the parties. They were shaking, crying. I gave them some water. And I told them,
you have to explain the parties. No,
Yossi, don't disturb me. Don't disturb me.
Okay.
I told them, come, get on the car. I will take you to a safe place. I put them in the Jeep. We turned around and I took them to Ashkelon. And then we came with a different road. We came on a different road east of Shderot. And basically, a few kilometers afterward, we found a police checkpoint. Two police cars were blocking the road. And basically, they said, you cannot go from here. It's risky. And I said, listen, guys, there are terrorists in my son kibbutz. I'm retired general. They knew who am I. I'm very famous in Israel. And they said, no, you cannot go. We are not allowed. And then they said something which basically light me up. They said, don't worry. The military is taking care of everything. And because I served so many years in the military, I already knew that nothing is working and the military is not functioning anymore. So from that on, I told you I was in a mission. So we get on the side road between the field, we bypass this checkpoint. There was another checkpoint. We just rushed through and, when they pointed gun to us, the policemen, we just told them, if you want to shoot us, shoot. We don't care. We are going to save our kids. And then we came to Shderot Junction. And this was a war zone. Many cars on the ditches, on the road, bodies all over lying. Suddenly I saw cars with Gaza license. And I understood it's much bigger than what I thought. And it was hard to text with Samir. They got off, they lost their batteries. So we continue with the instructions, and basically we continue to go south. This was the battle zone. There was shooting all the time. So Gali was driving and I was with a pistol. When we came to the gate of Mefalsim, the kibbutz, in the middle of the road to Nahal Oz, basically there was a battle there on the gate between Yamam, elite police force, and terrorists. We stopped the car and we jumped to a shelter that was near the bus station. We waited there until they finished the shooting, and then I came to the team. I said, listen, my son is in danger. Come and help me. Come with me. Take me in your armored jeep. Let's go save them. And all the guys said, let's do it. But their commander started to say, no, I need permission. I need orders. He started, hello. I understood, it's not going to work. And I didn't have time to it. So I asked who is willing to come with me? And then was a brave soldier. He was already wounded, not badly, but wounded. And he said, no, I was under your command. I'm coming with you. So he jumped on my jeep. We left Gali in this shelter. And we rushed. We were the only car on the road, and they were shooting all the time, and bodies, burning cars all over. When we came to Sad Junction, which is basically near Kibbutz Nahal Oz, I saw helos, Israeli helos, and I was afraid that they will think that we are a terrorist because it was a private car. So we waited there until there will come a military force. Suddenly I saw a military vehicle, and I asked them to join me all the way to Nahal Oz. Again, they understood who am I, they knew me, and they said, okay, we will follow you. You will go first, we will follow you. So I'm jumping and driving to Nahal Oz, and then, about 1 kilometer before the gate, there was an ambush by the terrorists, and we saw, again, a battle between Israeli troops on a jeep that was on the side of the road and terrorists. I stopped my car, I jumped with my pistol and with this brave guy, and I rushed into them. I checked, 3 of them were already dead. One of them was Chen Buchis, the deputy of Maglan unit. One of them was Iftach, he was another officer, and Afik, a brave soldier. At that moment, I became a soldier because there was shooting between 5 terrorists in a very short distance. I took the rifle of Chen. He had a telescope, which I knew. And, I took his helmet. I pointed at one terrorist. I killed him. I pointed at the other one. He fell down. And, on this battle, we had from the paratroopers who came with me, 3 wounded, one of them badly wounded in the bullet in the belly, bleeding. And I understood that if we will leave him there, he will die. And then the troops said, Noam, can you take them back to the hospital with your jeep? My mission was to go to Nahal Oz, but I knew that if I will leave this guy there, he is going to die. And he was fighting with me, for me. I put those 3 on the jeep. I rushed back to Mefalsim, where Gali was in the shelter. I asked Gali to get out. I told her, Gali, take the jeep, evacuate them, please, to the hospital. And she said, I will do it, but please go back to Nahal Oz. And I said, this is my mission. So this brave lady was driving alone with 3 wounded soldiers all the way to Ashkelon. She did something smart, and she texted Amir, Dad is on his way. And this gave him a lot of hope, because they were sitting more than 8 hours alone in the dark with 2 young kids that need to be quiet, terrorists all over, shooting, they shoot into the house, etc. And then I look, how will I go to Nahal Oz? And then I saw another vehicle, private vehicle. I opened the door, and there was a good friend by the name of Israel Ziv. He is another retired general. He was my commander in the paratroopers. And we have a very good friend. He has a pistol, just like myself at the beginning. Now I had an M16. I told him, Israel, can you take me to Nahal Oz? And he said, jump. And I said, Israel, you have to be aware. This is very dangerous. I'm just coming from an incident with, soldiers got killed. He said, no, come. And this is friendship on the highest rank. He was willing to risk his life for me, for my family. So we were driving again. We are the only vehicle on the road, all the way to the enter to Nahal Oz. We saw the soldiers that I left. They were in a different point. We said, come with us. I didn't want to leave them alone there. And when we were at the entrance to Nahal Oz, basically forces, brave paratroopers and brave Maglan unit came to the region. And there were two missions there. One was the military post that was occupied by Hamas, and we had many casualties there, and one the kibbutz. So I said goodbye to Israel. He went to other places, and I joined the force that entered Kibbutz Nahal Oz. Basically, when we entered the kibbutz, I stopped them. There are young troops, and I said, listen to me. I have a lot of experience how to fight in such an area. And I explained them how they have to go from one apartment to another apartment, and that we have to be totally sure that we clean the area from terrorists, because the most dangerous thing is that they will shoot us from the behind. And they split to two forces. I went with one, the other go to the other side of the kibbutz. And basically it took us about an hour to go to the neighborhood of my son. And I saw the house. We did, we continue the searching on every house, where people were locked in the safe room, in the security room. They were alive. Most of them know me because my son lived there for many years. And then I this is the moment of my life. I came to my son's house. I knocked on the armor window of the security room, and I said, "Amir, I'm here." And he said that, my granddaughter, Gali, said, "Grandpa is here." And, I get into the house. The soldiers continue to search. We killed, between seven more terrorists inside the kibbutz. Around my son's house, there were 5 bodies of terrorists with RPG, and also a body of a brave Israeli soldier that got killed. So they were on the porch of my son's house. I hugged them. I was happy. I sent a text to my wife that they are alive. This was this was something. Anyhow, but, we cleaned the kibbutz from the terrorists, and in the evening, we evacuated more than 300 people from the kibbutz to outside of Nahal Oz. This is my story. After this, we understood that those communities basically has nothing because they left with a suitcase. All of them live in hotels. Some of them has a house, some of them doesn't. All the cars, everything left there. So I arranged a group of 25 retired generals, police, Shabak, Mossad, and we start to hug them, to help them. Because right now in Israel, there is no government. The government is not functioning. We have great people just like Yossi and other people from the high tech and everybody. But the Israeli government is not functioning. Listen, this was the worst day in the history of Israel. We lost more Jews since the Holocaust in one day. And there are people who are responsible to it. The first one who is responsible is Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister. He is a disaster, and he is not taking responsibility, which is a shame. And all the rest of his government, they are responsible to this slaughter. Also, the head of the military. This should not happen. I was in the military 35 years. I was in all the wars since I recruited in 1981, and I never saw something like this. And the last thing that I can tell you is that, I never saw such terrible things in my life. They killed babies, they killed women. I can tell you that, we came on time to Nahal Oz because what they did in Be'eri and in Kfar Aza, they put, they light cord tires and basically burn the houses in order that the people will get out of the security room and then they can slaughter them. 2 more words. I trust the IDF. I fought with those young troops. It took us time to understand how to fight those terrorists, but after 48 hours, we started to kill and hunt them by hundreds. And the IDF is now getting ready. The chief of staff took full responsibility for the failure, and I back him and the other generals in order to win this war. We have no choice. We have to win this war. And yes, we have to change Gaza, because the mission of this war is to create a situation where my son Amir, who lives in Nahal Oz on the border, can put his 2 girls in the kindergarten and go to work and feel that they are safe. I want to thank you for your help and support. I met President Biden yesterday. He is a great friend of Israel. I told him that, since President Truman, who helped us to build the state of Israel, I never saw something like this. We are not building on American troops. We are going to win this war alone, but we definitely need the support and the ammunition by the Americans. And thank you very much for this support. We will win this war. We have no choice. And I think that after we will win this war, we have to do a restart for the state of Israel. We were suffering so much in the last few years from hate inside the state of Israel. I can tell you that in the last half a year, I talked many times in the demonstration. I wrote articles about my feeling that we are on the eve of Yom Kippur again. And everything that I wrote happened, but worse. We are strong. We will win it. And, my heart with all the people that lost their, my family is okay, but my heart with all the people who lost their friends, their kids. Thank you very much.
Noam, can I ask you one question?
Go ahead.
Now, will your son and his wife and your 2 granddaughters will return to Nahal Oz? How you see the future of this whole region?
This is a great question. I think they don't know yet. I think it depends on 2 issues. Issue number 1, that they will feel safe, which means we have to do something big in Gaza. We have to destroy Hamas. It's going to be tough. It's going to be ugly, but we have no choice. Number 2, it depends on the community. If we can keep, and this is what we are trying to do, if we can keep this community together, that they can help and support each other, and they will come back to this place as a community, we will win it. I know I'm working with Kibbutz Nahal Oz. This is my kibbutz that I chose. And
so why did you send me to
we just finished to bury the dead. We still have, 12 people got killed. We still have 8 people missing. So the situation is still tough. But there is also a lot of hope and a lot of friendship. And, I'm a Zionist, so I will do whatever I can that all those kibbutzim, also Kfar Aza that Yossi is helping, all those kibbutzim will return, and we will work the land there all the way to the border.
When do we have time for one question from the audience, or we should proceed?
Yeah, let's just do one quick question. People are asking a little bit about the history of the kibbutzim being on the borders. And I think it's worth perhaps just acknowledging that the role that the kibbutz has played in Israeli society from the very institution of the state.
I would say this, we are the startup nation, and Yossi Vardi is one of the fathers of the startup nation. But the first startup in Israel are the kibbutzim. This is a community that basically exists only in Israel. It's a social community. And, they were farmers, but during the years, each kibbutz built a very good factory. The elite of Israel, the best poems, the best writers like Amos Oz, the best intellectuals, the best soldiers, all came from this small community. Usually in the war, the dead among the kibbutzim is much, much higher from their percentage in the community, in the state of Israel. So I really believe that, the state of Israel could not be built without the kibbutzim who guard the borders, who volunteer to every mission in order to build the state of Israel. And I'm a kibbutznik, even though that I live in Tel Aviv, it's in my DNA. And I think that today our mission is to win the war and rebuild this beautiful area, but we will not call him Gaza envelope anymore. We will call it in a different name, without Gaza inside.
Maybe one more word about the history. 11 of these kibbutzim were created in 47 when David Ben-Gurion asked the Israeli youth to go to what it was called at that time the far desert. So they went in 47 and literally with their bodies, they stopped the advancement of the Egyptian army. And two of the kibbutzim went became MPs, military prisoners. And this is one of the heroic chapters of the foundation of the State of Israel. Again, it's pity we don't have time to elaborate more on what Noam said about the role of the kibbutzim. Noam, I want to thank you very much. And what can we say?
My pleasure to talk with you.
And good luck in your very important work. We are now moving to our second chapter. And this is a reportage which was presented on the Israeli TV 2 days ago, done by probably the Walter Cronkite of Israel, Ilana Dayan. I have to warn you, it's a very emotional movie, which doesn't end in a good end so far. I think it's very important to see it. The head of the family, the father of the lady which is being interviewed, is a personal friend of mine for the last 40 years. He was the head of the Association of the Kibbutz Industries. This was a trade organization of over 100 factories which created wonderful products. And in addition to the agricultural export, they were pioneering exporting from Israel. I would like to draw your attention. You will see, they will mention a cousin. In the story, they will mention that a cousin of the boys was also killed, and you will see a clip of paper which say that he was killed. He was killed. And this is not part of the story, but I want to mention it. He was killed when 2 grenades were thrown into the shelter where he and I'm not sure if his wife or girlfriend was in the shelter, and he threw himself on the grenade to protect her, to save her. And of course, he paid with his life. This is mentioning in the story, but not with details. Okay, I suggest we go directly to the story.
הלאה. באמת שאמרתי, אני אשאל אותך מה שלומך, והשאלה כל כך דבילית ש...
כן, בדיוק.
מאז השבת ההיא בשעת בוקר, אביו לא נפרד מהנשק של אבא, ה-M16, שבו ירה אופיר ליבשטיין את היריות האחרונות שלו.
שבאופן רשמי, ההרוג היחיד שמותר לנו לומר את שמו הוא ראש מועצה אזורית אופיר ליבשטיין.
תודה, יקירה. אתה יודע שהייתי בשבילו.
אנחנו נפגשים על הדשא היפה של קיבוץ רוחמה, ככה בערך נראה גם כפר עזה שלהם עד לפני שבוע וקצת, עד שהאדמה רעדה, ולקחה מוורד את בעלה ואת בנה, ולא רק אותם.
אני בחיים נשבעתי שאני לא מתראיינת, אבל אמרתי שזה חשוב לאופיר, אני חייבת לעשות את זה בשבילו.
1, 2, 3.
אין כאן מישהו שלא הכיר את אופיר. לא רק בגלל שהיה ראש המועצה, בעיקר בגלל שנשם את האנשים ואת המקומות האלה. ממפלסים עד כפר עזה, מנרעם עד נחל עוז.
את גררת אותו לכפר עזה, סליחה שאני אומרת.
אני כל החיים שלי גדלתי בכפר עזה, הוא גדל בכפר נטר, הגעתי, אמרתי, וואי, זה מגניב, זה לגור במרכז הארץ, בוא נגור פה. הוא אמר לי, עזבי, בואי, יש קסם בכפר עזה.
ומה חשבת על הקטע הפוליטי שנחת אצלו, מה, לפני נגיד 15 שנה, משהו?
הוא ידע שאני לא מתלהבת מזה, ובסוף שהייתה שיחה, והיה צריך להחליט. אמר לי, אני רוצה, אמרתי לו, אתה יודע שאת זה אני הכי מתבאסת, אבל אם זה מה שאתה חולם לעשות, תעשה אותו, אני לא תלכה לך את החלומות.
וכמה חלומות היו לו לחבל הארץ הזה.
עשרות אלפי מטיילים מכל הארץ שהגיעו לראות את הפלא הזה, את המרבדים של הכלניות, פעיליות ברוחמה, בבארי, בירשו.
בחורף הקרוב עמד לפזר כאן בשדות קרוונים מדוגמים לתיירים, ומעל הכל היה דרום אדום שלו ושל ורד.
זה היה מטורף, אף אחד לא האמין, אני זוכרת עוד שכנים אמרו לי, אבל למה שיבואו לפה? הדבר הכי חשוב בדרום אדום היה לא הכלניות, אלא שחוץ מקסאמים, באזור הזה הזכירו אותו גם כמשהו טוב.
יש את הדבר הזה שאומרים שזה 80% גן עדן לא אפילו.
95% גן עדן ו5% גיהנום, כן.
עכשיו בואי נהפוך את המספרים.
כן.
בוקר טוב לכם, השעה 6:45 ואנחנו במשדר חדשות מיוחד בעקבות מטח טילים.
שבת בוקר יש צבע אדום, אני לא מתעורר, מישהו בא להעיר אותי, בחיים לא קרה לי. זוכרת אבא אומר תמיד, אומר כאילו, כוס עמק, מאיפה זה בא? בחיים לא היה שאין איזה עדכון, משהו לפני. אז אחרי שנייה הוא מקבל הודעה בטלפון, הוא אומר שיש חשש לחדירה, מתלבש תוך שנייה, אומר לי תביא לי את האקדח מהכספת, הוא אומר לי תשאר פה.
אופיר יוצא ומשאיר אותם 4 בממד. ורד עם אביו שהיה לוחם בסיירת גולני והשתחרר לא מזמן, עידן בן ה-14 ואורי הקטן, רק בן 9. בשכונת הצעירים בקיבוץ נמצא באותו זמן הבן הרביעי שלפני גיוס, ניצן, בן ה-19.
לאבא לא דאגתי, כאילו אמרתי, אם יש בן אדם בעולם שאני יודע שתמיד הוא בטוח ואיתו תמיד אני בטוח ואיתו, ואז אני שומע אותו בוודאות, כאילו יורה באקדח במרפסת.
רק בימים שאחרי התברר להם שאופיר הספיק לרוץ לנשקייה, להצטייד בנשק ארוך, ורץ משם לכיוון המחבלים שנחתו בקיבוץ עם מצנחי רכיפה, ואז נתקל באש, מטרים מהבית.
קשרו פתאום מהמועצה אחרי איזה שעה, ואומרים לי, איפה אופיר? הוא לא עונה, מה זה הדבר הזה?
זה נשמע כאילו באו בטענה.
כן, זה היה לגמרי בקול של טענה.
זאת אומרת, הם לא העלו בדעתם שקרה לו משהו.
לא.
ואת, כשאומרים לך אופיר לא עונה.
אז דאגתי, כי ידעתי כבר שאימא שלי נרצחה. ב7:15 כבר ידענו.
עוד מעט אחיה יעדכן בוואטסאפ שגם בנו נטע נהרג.
אני כבר ידעתי שאמא שלי נהרגה, אמרתי, הילדים לא יכולו להכיל את זה פה בתוך הממד, זה ממש יהיה להם נורא קשה, אני לא אספר. גם לא לאביב, זה יהיה לו קשה.
וכבר כמעט 2 שעתיים הם לא שמעו מילה מאופיר שיצא החוצה.
לקראת 8:30, אני כבר מתחיל לדאוג לאבא. אני פותח את המיקום של הטלפון שלו, אני רואה שהוא ליד הבית. אחרי 10 דקות אני בודק שוב, ליד הבית. באותו מקום. אני רץ לשם, רואה נשק על הרצפה וגופה לידו. לקחתי את הנשק, אני מסתכל, אני רואה פה את השם של אבא.
זה הנשק הזה.
כן, עם דם שלו. כן. נוגע בו בלחי כאילו בשנייה, להרגיש. ראיתי שאי אפשר, הוא מת, לא חום גוף, לא דופק, לא נשימות, שום דבר.
ובתוך ים האובדן שמתחיל לסגור עליה, ורד ממוקדת עכשיו במשימה אחת. היא צריכה לדאוג לניצן, שנמצא כמה מאות מטרים ממנה, בחדרו, בקיבוץ, לבד. והקשר איתו מתחיל במה?
על הבוקר, אני מת מפחד, ניצן, תמיד היו לו חרדות מהמצב הביטחוני, הוא לקח את הכי קשה מכל 4 הילדים שלנו. הוא אמר שהוא מת מפחד.
הוא הרגיש מאוד?
כן.
ככה היה, דמיינתי את זה ככה, לא יודעת למה.
כן, הוא ילד בכיתה ב' הוא היה במתקפת פצמ"רים לבד במגרש כדורגל, ומאז הוא היה מאוד פוסט-טראומטי. כל פעם היו אומרים לי, תכירי בו בביטוח לאומי, ואמרתי, לא, אצלנו מתמודדים. וכשהוא הגיע לגיל ההתבגרות, כיתה ז' הוא פשוט התפרק, והוא איבד את זה לגמרי, והוא הלך וצריך למצוא את עצמו. הוא גם לא מתבייש לספר את זה, הוא אומר, שלום, אני ניצן ליבשטיין מקיבוץ כפר עזה, הידרדרתי, הפכתי להיות נער בסיכון בגיל ההתבגרות, החלטתי לשקם את עצמי.
למי הוא נשא את הנאום הזה?
לכל אחד שהוא הכיר אותו, הוא לא התבייש, הוא אמר את זה לילדים במכינה, הוא אמר את זה בצבא. הוא אמר, אין לי מה להסתיר, זה חלק ממי שאני.
ככה הוא שמור לה בטלפון הנייד, ניצן שלה. ב8:18 הוא שואל, איפה אבא? אני מפחד ממש. בחיים שלי לא פחדתי ככה. הוא כותב לאמא, הוא מתחיל להבין שמשהו קרה לאבא שלו. אל תשקרי לי, הוא כותב לה, רק תגידי לי אם הוא מת. מה קשה לענות? בבקשה, אמא. ורד עוד מנסה, אנחנו לא יודעים כלום. טוב, אני יודע, אני מרגיש.
התכתבתי עם מישהי שהייתה הפסיכולוגית שלו בעבר, אני מתכתבת איתה ואני אומרת לה, תקשיבי, אני חייבת את העזרה שלך, ניצן לבד בבית, בחדר צעירים, אנחנו פה ממש במלחמה, הוא מת מפחד, את חייבת פשוט, אני חייבת שתדברי, והוא לא יענה לך, תתכתבי איתו, את חייבת להתכתב איתו, והיא התכתבה איתו. התכתבה איתו כל השעות.
וגם ורד, כל הזמן איתו. אני רוצה הביתה, ניצן כותב לה, וורד עונה לו, ממוש, תראה סרט. אצלנו רואים בובספוג, אתה מוגן בממד. אני לא, הוא עונה לה, ואז הוא כותב לאביו, אחיו הבכור, אחרי היום הזה אני עוזב את הקיבוץ המזדיין הזה ולא חוזר לפה יותר בחיים, לא בא לבקר אפילו. תבוא לפה, בבקשה, אני רוצה אותך, הוא כותב לאחיו. בא לי להיות איתכם. ואביו מבטיח לו, ננצח את כולם. ניצן עונה לו מיד, אני מפחד ממש. אני גם, כותב אביו, פיצי, אף אחד בכל העולם לא יתחיל להפריד בינינו. אני אוהב אותך ממש ממש, כותב ניצן, ואביו עונה לו, אני יותר.
הוא אומר שהוא מת מפחד ויש בו כמויות של ערבים ומחבלים, ומדברים בערבית ויורים עליו כל הזמן, יורים, הוא היה בתוך הממד. ירו על הדלת, קצת, בכדור הראשון לא קורה כלום, בכדור ה-50, הדלתות בסוף זה חודר.
אבל הוא היה באירוע, כלומר הוא היה מחובר לאירוע ניצן, הוא היה בעניינים?
כן.
הוא לא איבד את זה?
לא. לא. פחד מוות, אבל לא איבד את זה.
ב9:57 ניצן כותב לאביו, הם מחוץ לבית, תיזהרו בבקשה את כל הכדורים, עד הכדור האחרון. ואביו מבקש ממנו, תתחבא מתחת למיטה. אני לא יכול לאבד גם אותך. ב9:59 ניצן כותב לוורד, תחזיקו מעמד. ואחרי 16 דקות הוא מדווח, הם פה בחוץ, יש קרב. ורד עונה לו, מחבקת אותך.
ואז טלפון באזור 12 כזה, שהם כבר ממש בדירה שלו. הוא ניצן, אתה מחזיק את הדלת ולא משחרר. לא משנה מה, לא משחרר. הוא אומר, אני מחזיק, אני מנסים לפתוח, אני מנסים לפתוח. ואז אחרי כמה דקות הוא מתקשר, הוא אומר, החזקתי את הדלת, הם לא הצליחו. השתחוררו את כל הדלת. נפצעתי, קיבלתי כדור בעורק הראשי, בירך. אני מאבד מלא דם, אני הולך למות.
מה?
כן.
ואביב איתו על הקו, ואתה חזק, ואתה יכול לעמוד בזה, ועשית דברים יותר קשים, והכל בסדר. ואנחנו איתך, ויבואו להציל, תכף בי מחלץ אותך, תכף בי מחלץ אותך.
אמרתי לו, ניצן, כאילו, שנינו יודעים שאתה הכי חזק מכולנו. יש שתי דברים, אחד זה להיות חזקים בראש, שאתה חי ואתה חי, ושתיים זה לעשות חוסי מורקים, לדחוף מגבת מסביב, תדחוף ביד השנייה. ואז אנחנו איתו שעתיים על הקו, הוא אומר, תקראו לחילוץ. וכל הזמן הוא אומר, הם לא באים, חילוץ לא בא, והם מתקשרת לחברים שלה שגרים קרוב, אומרים, קראנו לחילוץ, קראנו לו. צעקנו עליהם פה לחבר'ה, הם אמרו שהם הולכים אליו. וזה ממשיך, עד שהוא אומר, יש לי 15% בסוללה, תחזיק עוד רגע רואים, יש לי 5%, תחזיק, טוב, תנתק, תנסה לשמור סוללה. ואז אומרים לבדודה שלי להתקשר אליו, שהיא רופאה, שתנסה רגע להסביר לו. ואז אני מתקשר אליי שוב, אני מדבר איתו, אני אומר לו, אני ממשיך לצאת קצת דם, הצלחתי לעצור את הרוב, אני ממשיך לצאת קצת, אני אומר לו, טוב, אז תעשה עוד חוסם רק עם יותר גבוה, הוא אומר לי, אין יותר גבוה. 2.50 לדעתי נגמר לסוללה.
הייתי בטוחה שבאו לפנות אותו. ודיברתי עם החמ"ל של הקיבוץ, שלא היה ממש חמ"ל, כי גם לא נשארו אנשים ממנו. ואמרתי להם, אבל הגיעו אליו? ואמרה לי, נראה לי שלא עוברת. זו הפעם הראשונה שהייתי בשוק. הייתי בשוק. כאילו, אז הרגשתי, אותי לא הרגשתי שהפקיעו, אבל אותו הרגשתי שהפקיעו.
זה הדבר שלא עזב אותי מה שנעמה סיפרה לי על השיחות מלכם, שהיה לי, שמתי את עצמי במקומך, היה לי בראש, אנחנו נציל אותו.
אז בכלל לא היה שאלה, זה היה ברור. הוא גם ילד חזק, הוא יכול לשרוד, ידעתי שהוא ישרוד את זה, הוא לא סיים את הדרך שלו. ובגלל זה אני עדיין, אתה יודעת, מחזיקה את התקווה, כי א' התקווה נותנת אנרגיות. וגם כי אני אומרת, הוא באמת, הוא ילד שורד. ומצד אחד רציונלית, ויודעת שהסיכויים קלושים, ומצד שני, חולמת.
יש איזה רגע, לא יודעת, בתוך כל 30 שעות האלה, שאת נותנת לעצמך דין וחשבון בתוך מה את נמצאת, או שאתה פשוט נע מדקה לדקה?
שוכבים בשקט, כמעט לא זזים, גם כמעט לא בוכים קצת, מתחבקים, את יודעת, לדקה, זהו, שומרים על שקט.
ואת לא אומרת לעצמך, אולי יש איזה משפט זהב שאני יכולה להגיד להם? זה אחד הדברים שאני מתעסק בהם, משהו, מה הייתי אומרת?
קודם כל, אני לא בן אדם של מילים.
אז אולי כי אני כן. כל הזמן אני אומרת לעצמי, מה הייתי אומרת להם? איך הייתי מחזיקה אותה?
תראי, אופיר תמיד היה אומר שהמשפחה זה העוגן שלו. והכי חשוב שאנחנו ביחד, וביחד אנחנו נצליח לעבור הכל.
וזה משהו שאמרת להם?
וזה מה שאמרנו כל הזמן. זה כל הזמן אמרנו.
רק לקראת השעה 11 של יום ראשון, למעלה מיממה אחרי שהכל התחיל, לוחמי דובדבן מגיעים סוף סוף לחלץ אותם מהבית.
חייל אומר, תרוצו לפה אלינו. וככה רצנו, אנחנו רוצים ליד אופיר. אני אומרת לאורי, אל תסתכל, אבל כולנו ראינו את אופיר שוכב. עבר צמוד אליו.
אני שואלת שאלה שאל תכעסי עליי, אם לא במקום. ואת אומרת לעצמך, אולי אפשר עוד לעבור דרך ניצן?
לא האמנתי שאני יכולה לצאת. בלעדיו, וידעתי שאם אנחנו מגיעים לשם, אנחנו כולנו לא נהיה. אני מתה לעבור, ואני יודעת ששם הקרבות הכי קשים. אני יודעת את זה.
להתגעגע כבר התחלת?
כן. כן, אבל אני עוד לא מבינה את זה.
לא.
ואני גם לא רוצה להיות במסכנות.
למה לא בעצם?
מה זה יעזור לי בחיים?
שתוכלי לעבור לנוח. את חייבת לתת פייט?
אני עכשיו בהישרדות. ובסוף בגוף יש מקום מוגבל לאנרגיה, ואם אני אשקיע אותו בכעס, אני לא אהיה במקום של הבנייה, של המשפחה, של מה שנשאר ממנה. אני חייבת להיות שם.
מצד שני, הכעס לא מבקש אישור לצאת. יכול להיות שהוא יצא מתישהו.
דוחפים אותו.
נכון.
את יודעת, חילופים שהיו אצלנו בבית, שמכירה אותם, את אומרת, כאילו, יש להם חלק בזה, וכאילו, מה נכנס עליהם, הוא חב אותם, הוא כך העריך אותם, הוא כך היה בטוח שהם... ועל הפוליטיקאים, את יודעת, זה כאילו, זה נראה לי כבר, אין שאלה, זה כאילו, אני כועסת עלינו, שאנחנו מטומטמים, שאנחנו נותנים לדבר הזה עוד להמשיך.
ובמקום שהמדינה לא הייתה בו, היה נער אחד בן 19 שנלחם בכל כוחו מאחורי הדלת הירויה הזאת, וכתב לאחיו, אני מקווה לטוב בשבילי, וביקש ממנו שישמור על האח הקטן.
Yossi, you promised us that this was going to be a heartbreaking story to see, and certainly it was. And at the same time, we heard from General Tibon a clarity about the kind of response that Israel and the IDF is in at the moment. I'm going to give you the last word in a minute because we're coming up on the end of the hour, but I want to first put up, we've had a number of people in the chat ask about how they can help and what people in the diaspora can do, and that's something that America-Israel Friendship League is going to be laser focused on in our programming and in our coming activities that you'll hear more about. For those of you that are specifically interested in helping directly to the efforts that General Tibon talked about in a number of the kibbutzim, he is specifically involved with Kibbutz Kfar Aza, which experienced such loss. But here is a link up on the screen that you can go to. I'll mention that our next episode, in addition, this Sunday, October 22nd, features an Amutan organization in Israel that is singularly focused on providing direct support to Israelis, brothers and sisters for Israel. At this moment, we'll learn more about them on Sunday. Please let people know about the episode so that people can learn how to turn their anger, their despair into support. Yossi, the last word for you.
Well, first of all, can you put the slide for another minute so people can take
Yeah,
take a picture of it because it's too long.
Yes, go ahead.
Anybody who is interested, this is not a fundraising rally. This is a support raising, a moral mobilization. So you know really what's going on, but if you have an uncontrollable urge to financially help, please take your phone and make a photo, make a copy of this long URL. Instead of me saying the last word, I would like to ask Noam. I saw that he's still on the Zoom. Can you get Noam back? I have a question to Noam. Before that, I want to tell you, unfortunately, that this afternoon, the body of Pitzi was found, of course, dead. Noam, tell me how you start from such a low point and try to build the whole thing again. How can it be done? How can it be done?
We have no choice. This is our country. We love our country. I believe that, you know, the Jewish people need their own country. I can tell you this, guys. In the last 2 weeks, on the one hand, you know, I saw really terrible things. Terrible things. On the other thing, I saw so many good people like Yossi Vardi and others who are willing to help, to do anything to help the kibbutzim, to do anything to help the soldiers. Here in Israel, high-tech companies adopting kibbutzim, all the, you know, almost everyone. My phone is, I cannot touch it because so many people want to help. We have a lot of things to fix. But I can tell you, and this is my own belief, we owe those brave people from the kibbutzim. And, you know, I knew Ophir, you know, he was a leader. We owe them that we will come back. We owe it to him, that we will build the kibbutzim again, and there will be children, and there will be agriculture and factories. This was heaven, you know, beautiful, beautiful area. And we have to fix a lot of things in our society. We have to fix a lot of things. The hate inside Israel in the last few years, it was terrible. And I hope that from this deep sorrow and from this deep point, we will find a way to become more open to the others, to take the hate down. But yes, for this, it's not only nice words. We will have to remove everybody that was in charge of this slaughter should go. And number one, Benjamin Netanyahu and his government. All of them must go. They must beg, and for the rest of their life, they must go to those families and say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry for your son, for your granddaughter, for your grandmother. This is what I am expecting from them, and we have good leaders, and we will overcome.
As you said, Ein Breira, an extraordinary conversation with two extraordinary men. We're gracious to both of you by leading by example, by giving us not only hope and inspiration, but really a insight into what it will take for Israel in the coming days and weeks to take on yet another heroic battle, because there is no other choice. Ein Eretz Acheret. Thank you for your service, both of you, and for your leadership and for the opportunity to hear directly from you today. We look forward to everybody coming back on Sunday, October 22nd, where we'll learn more about the efforts to provide support and relief to our loved ones in Israel during this very difficult moment. Everyone have a safe week. להתראות.